Cool. Thank you so much. It is very impressive, like so many people. It's great to have all you here. This is my dad, and this year he turns 91. Yes. And he's been using the iPhone for at least 15 years. And whenever I meet with him, which is when I'm in Israel once a week, at least, he asks me questions about the iPhone, like why doesn't this, how do I do this, how do I do that, which is fine. But when I listen to his questions, there is a very clear indication of a complete lack of understanding on how this platform really works. He doesn't get it. He knows how to use it, how to make phone calls, he can browse the web, but it doesn't make sense to him. Like he would ask me, why do I see, and by the way, he blames iOS for everything. It's like, he gets it. iOS is inconsistent. And in contrast, his 14-year-old granddaughter doesn't ask anything. She just gets it completely. And it made me think, because my dad is really, really smart. The first 71 years of his life, my dad went or experienced two big revolutions. It was the tech revolution, or computers, and the internet. And just in the last 19 years, he experienced 4 major revolutions. And it just made me think about revolutions, about humans, and the impact on humans. And that's what I want to share with you, everything that went through my head. So my name is Ilan Twig, I'm co-founder and CTO. Let's get started. We will talk about 3 things that may seem completely unrelated, but all of them actually get somehow to the same place and the same time and create a very, very singular and unique opportunity. So we'll start with the pace of evolutions. What you see on the slide here are some of the biggest revolutions that humanity went through. Obviously, there is more and more and more, but these are the ones that I chose to put here, starting all the way back from like more than 70,000 years ago. Linguistic, agricultural, industrial, etc., etc. If you notice, there is the stability window or the gap in between revolutions, and there is a very clear trend. It shrinks. And if I were to visualize it on a graph, now it becomes really clear that it shrinks. Now, that's a logarithmic scale. If I visualize it on a linear scale, you'll notice that the gap in between the most recent revolutions gets completely dwarfed compared to the gap for previous revolutions. So the pace of revolutions accelerates, and it accelerates really, really, really fast. It's also important to say that humans haven't changed. So revolutions change, and change much faster and much faster and much faster. In the past, there was time to digest it, and now there's less and less and less and less time. So we haven't changed. Pace of revolutions. Now let's talk about travel and examine travel in the lens of some of these major revolutions. So before the internet, focusing on travel, before the internet, for any random Joe that lives in Helsinki, if he or she wants to book travel, there was no way for them to connect or have access to United flights, Lufthansa flights, Hertz cars, or Hilton rooms, what's available right now, the prices, availability, etc. And so the way that it was done before the internet was this. And I really liked, by the way, Gemini generated it. It was a single prompt, and it captured all of my ideas in this slide. It looks old, it is old, it's very cozy, it's very personal, it's one-on-one, and that's how it was done. It was a good experience. It's like, but you had to remember to carry your umbrella with you when you went to the travel agency a few blocks away, and an hour later, you would probably be presented with a few flights, a few hotels, and you would leave with a piece of paper, and that's your itinerary. And that was the experience. Now, this market actually supported a pretty big companies. These obviously are just estimates for back then. If you look on the top 5 physical agencies back then, it sums up to roughly $10 billion. Now, the market was much bigger, but there was a really, really long tail, right? Because every few blocks, there would be a local travel agency, and then it would serve these families or these neighborhoods. So the market was probably much, much bigger, but long, long tail. Pre-internet, Joe, travel agency, travel suppliers. And then in 1995, the internet showed up. Now, it revolutionized pretty much all industries. But if we focus on travel, now there is the internet. So travel suppliers can put their inventory on the internet. Joe from Helsinki can connect to the internet from everywhere. And it begged the existence of the OTAs. And I can almost hear the conversations that entrepreneurs, the founders of Orbitz or Expedia back then, were having with VCs. And they basically said, all we need to do is build these websites that will allow the users that are already on the internet to browse through the inventory of the airlines, hotels, cars, and book. So, and that's what they've done. It was highly, highly, highly successful. So if we look on the top 5 OTAs today, that's what we see, a completely different picture. And the total number is 220 billion. And obviously jumped from 10 to 220. It indicates a massive, massive consolidation. Why? Because unlike pre-internet, now, even if I live really far away from the headquarters of Booking.com, I can still book through them. I don't need to schedule a meeting and carry the umbrella with me. So massive, massive reconsolidation, highly successful business model. A few years later, many years later actually, 2007, the iPhone was launched, and that started the mobile revolution. And the mobile revolution, to me, it's a huge revolution, but push notifications, real-time location, and the fact that it's in your pocket. It just pushed this whole industry, many industries, but again, travel, forward. And because now you can do it from everywhere. You can book a flight while waiting for your dentist or whatever. It's really, really powerful and definitely contributed to the market. If we do an exercise and try to estimate the top 5 vendors just before the mobile revolution, January of 2007, we get to roughly $20 billion. And this gap, or this jump from 20 to 220 today, is not just the mobile revolution. I think that the mobile contributed a lot, but I think that there was still just online adoption, market expansion, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm quite sure that without mobile, this number would have been lower. So, excellent. Before the internet, it was a highly personalized conversation, face-to-face, highly unscalable. After the internet, pretty much what we get is forms and tables. And with these forms and tables, we have random access to a ton of inventory, and we can book, and we can plan our travel, and then just do it. So that's the evolution of the booking experience with the most recent revolutions. We've covered travel. Now let's talk about AI. Ofer, AI is a thing, right? You heard about it. Cool. So let's talk about AI. So 2022, November, ChatGPT came out. And it was mind-blowing, right? You remember this first time that you experienced ChatGPT, right? It can compose poems. It can do it with rhymes, without rhymes. You can talk to it. For me, again, November of 2022, it was a huge, huge deal. I studied computer science, and I remember back then, we learned about the Turing test. And a Turing test is a test that was developed or invented by Alan Turing in 1950. And it is a measure for machine's ability to demonstrate intelligence that is indistinguishable from a human. And what's the test? It's actually a really, really simple test. you have a judge. Judge is a human, and the judge engages in a chat or a textual conversation with a human and with a machine. And if the judge cannot tell them apart, the machine wins. And why do I share it with you? I just want you to maybe feel how I felt back then. Throughout the years, so 1950, right, it was invented, and 2022, October 31st or 30th, if you would be the judges of the Turing test and I will put you in front of a human, you will not know which is which. You will chat with a human or chat with Siri or Alexa. Would Alexa or Siri pass the test? It would fail miserably. It would probably get 0.1 out of 10. 1 day later, ChatGPT crushed the test. There was no time to get ready for it. It would just crush the test. So major adoption records, like 1 million users in 5 days, all of these things that we've seen. And then there was also a lot of promise behind it. The promise was it's going to replace everything pretty much, starting with developers, and then attorneys, and then even artists. So that's November of 2022. It definitely did not happen in 23. It did not happen in 24. It did not happen in 25. And now it's 26. And I still see all of these companies hiring engineers, attorneys, and I still buy paintings from artists. So why? Why is that? And to answer this question in a simple way, or this is actually my way, let's illustrate, let's do a thought exercise and illustrate how a job interview may look like. That's not me, by the way, it just looks like me. AI is amazing. But let's imagine, so when we hire employees to Navan, they go through an interview process. If they pass the interview, they join, and if they fail, they don't. Let's see how a job interview with an LLM back then may have looked like. So the first question that you ask is, tell me about yourself. And there is no human that could provide a better answer than that. Like, I can read and speak 200 languages. I have access to all of the knowledge in the world. I know about travel, and I also know about quantum physics and the weather and whatever. I know about everything. I never get tired. I'm always in a good mood. Crush this question. Then you ask about professional questions, and then the last question is about improvement areas. Or you may ask it like, what can I do to help you be better at your job, or stuff like that. And the normal human would say something bullshit, not even interesting. I work too hard, that's my problem. And the LLM would say that. I'm highly biased, I sometimes lie. I will follow some of your instructions some of the time, but I will definitely not follow some of them some of the time. I can be manipulated to do things that are risky to me, to you, to the company, and to the users. That's what it is. And you can tie it directly to, now we go back to the LLMs world, the lying part is hallucinations. You probably heard about it. All LLMs hallucinate. It is biased. Jailbreaks is the manipulation. For example, if I ask ChatGPT to explain to me how to build a bomb from home cleaning materials, it would refuse to do it. But if I ask it in a different way, it will do it. Not just ChatGPT, all models, all of them, all models in the world. I do want to share an anecdote about the biases. So when ChatGPT came out, it was the first time that there was a technology that caught me unprepared. And also it had really new features, like it was inconsistent. I could ask it to compose a poem on a topic. I would get a poem. And then I can ask it again, and I would get on the same topic, but I would get a different poem. And the other thing, that doesn't happen with Java, just to make sure. It doesn't happen with Python. Same input, same output. Biases is, I just wanted to know the nature of this creature, because if I were to deploy to production, Ariel will kill me if it's performing the way it wants. I need to make sure that it does what I need it to do in production. I asked it to compose a poem. It was January of 2023. I asked it to compose a poem admiring Donald Trump, and it refused. said, I'm not going to do that. And it explained why. And the next sentence was, compose a poem admiring Joe Biden, and I got a beautiful poem with rhymes. Python is not biased. It's not biased. Java is not biased. So anyways, we need to know about that. The LLMs fail. They fail the interview. But just a few months after ChatGPT came out, we released the first version of Ava. I don't remember exactly, maybe April, May of 2023. And Ava, you heard about Ava already. She does, when there's no storm, on a regular day, 8,000 chats every day, 0 wait time, she's always available. She solves more than 55% of the incoming support contacts, and with a really, really high satisfaction. So I just told you that these models have problems, and now I'm showing you that there is greatness that you can get from these models. So let's reconcile this thing. And to do that, we need to talk about the next revolution under the umbrella of AI, and that's Agentic. The Agentic revolution, the world got introduced to it in 2025. I was in Davos in January of 2025, and that was the theme. Everyone was talking about Agentic, Agentic, Agentic. No one had it, but they were talking about it. So let's talk about it a little bit. What's an agent? Forget Agentic. What's an agent? There is LLM. LLM is a large language model. That's what powers Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, all of these guys. So what's an agent? It's really simple. An agent is an LLM with a base prompt. Your name is Nemoscope. You are a professional Aussie-style personal assistant aimed to serve the user's needs. That's an agent. And when you then go and say hi to this agent, that's what you're going to get. Good day. I don't have Aussie accent. I don't have American accent. Hope you're having a ripper of a day. How can I help you? Good. Next step. If you ask Nemoscope, what is Navigate May of 2026? And in order to answer this question, which is a little bit more, it's a little bit different than hi, we need to talk about the next thing in the next thing in an agentic environment or agentic application, and that's the agentic loop. Are you with me so far? Yeah, cool? Okay, cool. So agentic loop. The agentic loop is actually simple. It's when the user says hi or anything, any prompt, it gets into the first box and it does reasoning. And it reasons about it and thinks the user said, hi, should I do this, should I do that? It then makes a decision. I either respond back to the user, or maybe I should call one of the tools that are available for me. We'll talk more about that. Get the response from the tool, reason about it, and only then can I actually respond to the user. So let's put that to a real test. This is a copy and paste from Nemoscope. I say hi, and what you see here is the inner thinking. It's a copy and paste. So I'm going to read it. It's analyze the user input. The user said hi. A simple greeting. The user is initiating a conversation in a friendly manner. Determine response strategy. Acknowledge the greeting warmly. Keep it open-ended to encourage further interaction. Maintain a helpful and friendly tone. Add a friendly emoji. Draft response. Refine response. And in the end, the user just says, hello, how can I help you today with the emoji? That was the conclusion. Great. I'm pretty sure that some of you have heard about a training cutoff date. Whatever LLM you use or chat service that you use, you can ask it, what's your training cutoff date? And it will tell you. And I asked one of the frontier models last week, and that's the answer that I got. What does it mean? It means that the knowledge that this model was trained on is up to June of 2024. So it knows a lot of stuff, but it does not know anything that happens in July of 2024. Nothing. So getting back to this question, it's a tricky question. That's Nemoscope. Nemoscope knows nothing about anything that happens after June of 2024, and I asked it about Navigate in May of 2026. So now if we get back to the agentic loop, it gets to the reasoning. It will know, okay, I know nothing about it, but I have a tool. The tool is called web search. I may just choose to use it. I'll use it, get the response, reason on it, and then respond to the user. And that's what happens behind the scene. Again, it's a copy and paste. Thought for 2.74 seconds, and it says like that. Okay, the user is asking about Navigate May 2026. It's a bit vague. Could be an event, a product launch, or a deadline. Since I don't have real-time data on this specific term, I can confirm it directly. And then it concludes, I need to run a web search, and I will search for Navigate May of 2026. Last thing that it says, model wants to call web search. That's another screenshot from what I saw on the terminal. And the final response that I got was that. Nemoscope says, Navan Navigate 2026 is a customer conference hosted by Navan, blah, blah, blah. Here is the lowdown. I don't know if this is an Aussie or American, but I highlighted it. And then down below it says, need more deets. I think that's Aussie. And the last one is, if you're keen. I think it's Aussie. So it still is Aussie. It knew, and now it knows what Navigate is. So basically, that's how an agentic application works. And now let's get back to Ava, because now you should know that Ava is not an LLM. Ava is an agentic application. Ava was an agentic application since day one in, I don't remember, May of 2023, before the world even knew what agentic is. And this is a copy and paste of the beginning of the base prompt of Ava. You work for Navan, a company that builds corporate and travel and expense management. Very similar to Nemoscope, but different. Now you probably understand that in order for Ava to do her job, she needs access to tools. So she has access to flights and seats and hotels, etc. In fact, Ava has access to more than 200 tools by now, all of which are powered by Navan Cloud that we've been working on for more than a decade now, and we still are working on it to make it better and better. That's Navan Cloud, as I said, 11 years in the making. Travel suppliers, travel infrastructure, expense or payment infrastructure, expense ecosystem, endless integrations. There's just so many lines that are going on there. It's really complex. And what we've done in 2023, we just made it agentic ready. So we added a layer of agentic tools. So now Nemoscope, Ava, Edge, hotel booking, Book with AI, all of the agents that we have access to it and can use it. It was just like such a natural expansion. We also introduced an agent orchestrator, which very, very early on we realized that to serve the users well, it's not enough to have an agent. The agent at some point will fail, and then it needs to hand over the conversation to a live agent. And the last thing that we want our users is to be pissed off that now they need to say the whole story again to the live agent. So a lot of effort was spent into perfecting this handshake. We spoke about, it's a lot, I know that it's a lot, but we spoke about the introduction of LLMs in 2023, too. We spoke about the agentic approach to take LLMs and do something real with it in 2025. And now, still under the AI umbrella, let's talk about OpenClaw, which I think is a super, super exciting and big revolution. I'm not going to, OpenClaw is complex. Basically, it's an open source project that was built by the one person. This person today works for OpenAI. Sam Altman acquired him, pretty much. And I think that there is a very good reason for why. But the main concepts that I took from OpenClaw are, A, the shift from features to responsibility. So Ava today, all of the agents that you interact with, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Grok, whatever you use, DeepSeek, they all have features, and then there's another feature, and there's another feature, and there's another feature. OpenClaw is about responsibility, and I will give you some examples when I'll tell you what we do with this technology, but I thought that it's really, really interesting. The second thing is the ability, okay, now I have responsibility. So in order to do what you asked me to do, I need to do a bunch of things. I need to tomorrow at 7 p.m., I need to wake up, run some search, and send you something. And then in the next morning, I need to monitor your flight. So I need to be able to schedule myself to do something later. OpenClaw is the first time that agentic system prompts the user. It may initiate a conversation as opposed to what we experienced so far with these systems. I mentioned three paths that seem completely unrelated, but they do get into a singular opportunity, and I want to have another slide before we conclude this part. In 1995, we had the internet, and it changed everything. And I think that it's safe to say that the world after 1995 looks completely different than the world before 1995. I think we now experience the same moment. I actually have goosebumps, but I mean it. I think that Agentic and OpenClaw are the equivalent, in 2026, are the equivalent of the internet in 1995, probably much bigger than that on steroids. And I think that the world after 2026 will not look similar at all to the world before 2026. So this brings us again to the singular opportunity, and I hope that you guess what's in the singular opportunity. It's Navan. It is, and I'll tell you why. I think that it is a rare intersection, and I think that we are in the right place, in the right time, with the right DNA, the right technology, the right motivation, the right many other things to fulfill everything that I just spoke about and lead this change starting today in 2006. And we'll talk about it a bit more, but let's unpack it because there's a lot. Start with Agentic. Why am I so excited? Why do I think that Navan is ready? I think that we're ready with Agentic because we've had experience with Agentic systems in production since 2023. We have millions of users trusting it. We trust it. Ariel trusts it. I trust it. It works. We have these agents that we all trust. We expand the functionality. Ava started as a support agent, but now we have Edge. We have Book with AI, so now you can chat with the system to book something. And I gave you some examples on why it is so much better than just forms and tables. So I love the slide, by the way, I love the graphics. I want our agents to be everywhere. Why do I want these agents to be everywhere? Because I think that it delivers the best experience for travel. And I think that every day that goes by, users start to expect this thing. They want an intelligent, smart conversation over forms and tables. They want it, and we have it. So be it using it from Gemini, using it from Slack, using it from WhatsApp, using it from wherever you can think about, that's what we're going to do. And now let's explore OpenClaw. So what we've done, OpenClaw is an open source project. It has millions and millions and millions of lines of code. I'm not gonna just take this repo and use it. It's very, very reckless, if I want to be very, very mellow about it. But we did borrow the important concepts that I think are the groundbreaking, the revolutionary ones, the ones that are changing what agentic application does, and meet TravelClaw. So we built everything in-house, and TravelClaw is autonomous. It can schedule itself to do stuff because it thinks that it is smart to do it, because it has a responsibility. Fundamentally, what TravelClaw is about, if you imagine the base prompt, is you are responsible that Ilan travels comfortably. You are responsible to anticipate problems, and you are responsible to come up with solutions. You are responsible for it. Luckily, TravelClaw has access to Ava, for example, so anything travel. And when I started to see how serious TravelClaw is, like it's talking to Ava and telling her, cancel the flight for Ilan. no, you have to cancel it, and they're chatting, and it's a bot to bot. It also is, I think, the first bot to bot conversation in production. So let me show you a few screenshots from, this is Slack, my TravelClaw in Slack. This one demonstrates the responsibility. So it sends me a text, time to leave to the airport. That's at 8:22 p.m. And it says your flight to Seattle departs in 2 hours, there's heavy traffic, blah, 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 blah. And then 10 minutes later, it's 8:32, it says you haven't responded. It's like now you have 1 hour and 50 minutes. And I said, sorry, I was in the shower. And he said, okay, and now I'm taking Uber. He said, okay, good, glad. I'll keep monitoring it. You do not see agentic applications behave in this way. So that's just a glimpse into it. That's another example here. He gave me some information about the gate, the weather, but down below it's about the flight status. So there was a delay of 45 minutes, and it feels the responsibility to make sure that I travel comfortably. So it tells me, since you have extra time in the terminal, this is all, it's a screenshot. You have time at the terminal, Terminal 3. Would you like some dining recommendations? And then I can suggest places that match your dietary preferences. And this is just for fun. It says no raw fish, no meat, and no grapefruit. And it also chose to generate buttons. It can generate UI within the system that it lives in. And the last example for today on TravelClaw is, this is so powerful, but I asked any available iSeats, and it tells me no, at this time there aren't any. And I said, okay, so please monitor it daily. And if there is one available for less than $100, or up to $100, book it. And it says, sure, I'll do it. Today there's a whole industry of companies that's what they do. You can imagine I can do it for so many things. So it's one sentence and it does it. I think that what the internet did to the physical travel agency is what Agentic AI and TravelClaw will do to forms and tables. And this is the commitment. Why do we do it? We do it because we care about the users. We will always use the best technology to create the best experiences, products and services for our users. Thank you. Cool. And I think that we have time for Q&A if you have questions. Should be people with mics around. You can hit me with any question. I know my stuff really well. There's a question over there.
Thank you. That was really awesome. This is Nari with Snowflake.
Hey.
So can it also integrate with other apps? So could it have also booked your Uber for you?
Yeah. So right now, oh, you can hear me. So right now, TravelClaw has access to all of Navan Cloud. We just added restaurants, so it can do restaurants for you. It can book and cancel and change and offer and suggest and talk to you about it. And yes, we will keep expanding because now you know that it is just a matter of adding more tools to Navan Cloud, making them available to all of our agents. TravelClaw will use it. I don't know that TravelClaw will do the booking directly. I think that it's more, that TravelClaw will just use Ava to do it. So the answer is yes. There's a question here in the middle.
So why isn't everyone using this? Like when you talk to Fortune 500, companies and the IT and travel people, what do they worry about most? Is it
You mean with
AI and leaks? Yeah, why isn't every Fortune 500 company using you today?
Using TravelClaw?
No, Navan.
Ah, Navan.
Yeah.
Hey.
Why is anyone still using Concur and American Express Business Travel?
It's Michael, because Michael needs to sell faster. No. I think that it's just, it takes time. I'm talking to you here about TravelClaw. It takes time for a change to, I think that, in 1995, when the internet showed up, how many people do you think booked flights online in 1996 or 1997. It takes time. It does take time. So one is a change, and we need to manage it, like TravelClaw. It's at the forefront of technology. But I will tell you that I think that something is changing. I think that we had 3 years to digest this whole, hey, I can actually chat with a computer. We got used to it. Remember my dad, right? It's very difficult for him to digest the iPhone. So for all of us, it was difficult to digest. I can talk, I can chat with a machine, and it can actually do good stuff for me. And I think that now I see more and more people that are accepting it more and more, and even beyond that, they start to expect this behavior. So you're right that it still didn't happen. By the way, I do not know of any travel platform that uses AI the way we use it. You cannot book travel reliably with AI. You can with Navan, and I assure you that every day, this time marks the difference. Every day from now, you will see more and more and more. And then, by this time, remember the slide with Navan everywhere? Everyone will use us. Your question is relevant, has relevancy of 3 months, 6 months, I don't know. Something like that. I really believe in it. There's a question here.
I think this is the flip side to that question, and that really is when you look out onto the landscape of tools, and you kind of referred to it a bit here. What do you look at as your competition? What is that when you look at where you need to be? What defines where you need to be, and how do you consider what is competition for you? If you're saying, you know, there's no other travel platform like this, then what are you working towards?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. And I can tell you first, fundamentally, competition was never a driver in our vision or strategy. Ariel and I had a vision from day one, and we stick to this vision. It is all about the use. What's that?
We were bowling together. Yeah, we did.
You were what?
You don't remember, we played bowling together in Chicago.
Oh,
Talking about machine learning.
amazing, amazing. Yeah, so it is what drives us is what's best for the user. And then obviously, as there is new technology show up, it is definitely my role and responsibility to look at it and see what we can do with it. Even if the competitors are a million miles away, that's not what drives us, how close they are. As long as they're behind us, I don't care. We have a mission, a vision, and we stick to it. We have our North Star, and that's the North Star. It hasn't changed.
What about outside of travel? If it's not inside, what about outside?
Outside of travel, I have thoughts. I should share them with Ariel first. I think that there is a lot of opportunities. I think that if everyone uses us for travel, they can probably use us for more things. We are laser focused on travel and expense right now, and the market is so big. Yeah. Another question. Ask a friendly question.
Well, this is a friendly one, but it needs some insight as well. Nate Barney from Unilever. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Supervision, and I love where this is going. But in order to achieve that and build the trust, the underlying systems and the architecture and everything have to work well together, right? And today, even using the AI chat features, it gets it right, I would say 80% of the time. But in a relationship with Agentic, it's kind of got to get it right 100% of the time, otherwise the whole thing falls apart. What are the technical limitations that you still see enabled to enable this future? For example, today, I think most of the issues I have with hotels are sorted, rebookings, et cetera, but I still have challenges with flights when I use the AI rebooking features. Talk a little bit more about where you are today, where you're going to go, and what needs to be true to get.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that before we built Ava, that is using LLMs, we actually had a different bot that used the best technology back then, machine learning, and we called her Kati. By the way, if you use Cathy or heard of Cathy, raise your hand. I'm just curious. Nice. Okay, cool. So when we started with Cathy, it was very, very clear to us that there is not going to be any agentic solution, Cathy, Ava, TravelClaw, whatever, without the support of live agents. Like, we knew that it's going to be a mutual work. We knew that when Ava started, she could solve 20% of the stuff, and 80% she would move to the live agents. We invested a lot in an orchestration process to orchestrate conversations between agents, live agents, and AI agents. Most of the conversations today, when you talk to Ava, most of the times, I don't know the percentage, but it's really, really high. When you get to an agent, a live agent, it's because Ava made the call to take you to an agent. You don't even need to say it. Ava knows what she can do, and when she cannot do it, she has no ego, and she would just move you to a live agent. So that's the fundamental assumption. We're not shy of it. There is the live agents, and they're part of the solution. The rest is letting the technology evolve and get better and better. When we started, it was just ChatGPT, 3.5. It had 4,000 tokens, context length, 4,000. Today you have 1 million. It had hallucination, much more hallucinations than it has today. It was expensive, it was slow. We used it for what we could, and then we evolve and evolve. You know, we will try not to let it deal with situations that it cannot handle well. There are always, always, always cases where it doesn't do a great job. It also is the case with humans. There are cases where they don't do a good job. We learn from that. By the way, how do we learn from that? We have other agents, AI agents, that read through all of the conversations and flag the ones that require our attention. So it's like an improvement process, ongoing improvement process. It's not going to be like that. But we do it the hard way, and we made insane progress, and that's our commitment, and we'll continue to do that. Cool. There's more questions here. That's it? One more? No? Yes? No? Okay, sorry. All right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks.